Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montevilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Juki DX-2000 QVP. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make buttonholes with this machine. Now you can make a wonderful variety of buttonholes like this. There's all these up here, but if you want just your straight square end buttonhole, which is what I usually use on most of my garment sewing, right there, that's all you need, just this one button push, as long as you're in this mode. Okay, so the buttonhole foot looks like this. Now, we want to put a button right back in here. I'll show you how to do that. Hang on down here, push up on these little things right there, put the button right in there, and then zero it down like that. That is going to help the foot know what length to do the buttonhole, and then we plug this into the machine. Let me show you over here. So we start out by taking the regular foot off, and you can put that right down here in a dedicated parking spot. Then, now this little extra thing here is for if you're doing a buttonhole on a coat and you have multiple layers and you want to keep those layers together, keep them from shifting, that's what this stabilizer plate is for. To take that off, you just push this little guy like this, push that out like that, and off that goes. Now for your regular shirts and dresses, this is all I normally use, that much. I'll set that to the side. Then these little marks here are going to be for where you're going to start your buttonhole. And then if you look on the other side, there's sort of a channel here for the two sides of the buttonhole right there. Okay, so we're going to put this on the machine. I'm going to use my knee lifter to lift that extra high, let it down, and it goes right on there. So we need to have this thread through the stitch hole there. So what I'm going to do is take a single stitch. Okay, I got to make sure it's plugged all the way in. See, I didn't have it all the way plugged in, so let's make sure this is plugged in. A little reminder that was really helpful. So I'm going to take one stitch, lift up my presser foot, pull this to the side, and now I've pulled the thread through the stitch hole. Okay, so when you make buttonholes, make sure that if you're using shirtweight fabric, that you have like a layer of interfacing there to keep the buttonhole nice, to sew nicely. And also, if you don't want to use that, you can, like for the front placket of a shirt, use 3 layers. So this would be like the front placket of the shirt, the front strip of buttons. Okay, so I'm going to mark on here lengthwise. That's where the center of the buttonhole would be, and then the beginning part of the buttonhole right there. I'm using this pen called Friction Pen. This is really nice. It's actually a stationary item, but I use it in sewing because what it does is once you make a mark, you can take and erase it with friction here or with a hot iron. So that will go away. Actually, it'll change to a very pale white. So on lighter garments, this is an excellent tool. Now, whatever marking tool that you use, make it so that the stitches will cover up the marks that you use. Okay, so I'm lifting this up, putting this down, and you notice I'm using my knee lifter to do that. Sure, I could use my hands, but the knee lifter is a really nice hands-free tool. I'm going to line this up so that center long line is right even with this front red mark, and the little short cross line is even with the side-to-side red marks. Also over here on the side, I want to make sure this is parallel, because if it's not, if it's caught in a cockeyed, guess what? The buttonhole is also going to be tilted. So we don't want to have that happen. So next thing we need to do is come over here, select buttonhole, which I already did, and now we're ready to sew. Whenever you start sewing, and I probably mentioned this in my getting started video, hang on to your beginning threads here. That kind of gives it a little stability until it's made a couple of stitches. So let's get started here. Okay, I can let go of that thread. And if you watch, you can see how it's sewing to one side. It stops. It knows to stop because that button is in there. Makes a nice bar tack on that side, sewing the other side of the buttonhole, making a bar tack and a locking stitch. and I keep my foot on the foot control until it's done. Now we could also use the start-stop button because it will stop by itself when it's done, but you would need to disconnect the foot control. I've often done that when making numerous buttonholes using the start-stop button. Then we press our cutter button, and now the buttonhole foot has reset. One thing I should mention is you see this little gap here. That's important. When you're moving your fabric around, make sure that this gap does not close. This is kind of on a spring. It needs to kind of spring open that a couple of millimeters in order to make a nice even buttonhole. When you're done, you just take and snip this off, and you can see how that center line that I drew is right down the middle. That's what it should look like. And then you'll take your seam ripper and just gently cut down the middle of that, and then that'll give you a beautiful buttonhole. So this machine makes really nice buttonholes, as I've shown you here already. Okay, so that's how to make buttonholes using the buttonhole foot on your Juki. Thanks for watching. We have lots of other videos on this machine, so stay tuned. See you later. Bye.